I watched my husband marry my best friend while texting me working late, unraveling decades of lies to discover the truth. The text message shining in my car's darkness was St. 2 p.m. Mary's Church. You have to see this. Unknown count. My hands shook as I held the steering wheel and watched visitors pass past my rain-streaked glass inside the ancient stone edifice. Right now, Eleanor, a cut-rate private investigator, is waiting in my car wondering if I have finally lost my mind. Ryan, my spouse, reported to me he had a business conference in Chicago. The calendar read something like that. His secretary verified that as well. The hotel reservation revealed just that. But here I am, parked across from a Boston church since some stranger chose to act as guardian angel, or demon. I haven't made any decisions yet. This is crazy, I said to myself, but I'm already grabbing my sunglasses. As I get out of my car, heels clicking against damp ground, the church bells begin their sad call. Every stride seems like me moving toward my own execution. I slide in through the side door and settle behind a marble pillar. I smell lies and incense, and for a second I find myself back 7 years ago on my own wedding day. Same church, different dreams. My heart stops when the organ begins to play. He is because there he is. Ryan's. My Ryan here. Hands clasped in front of him, that familiar anxious tick in his jaw, standing at the altar in a tuxedo I have never seen before. Chicago is not where he resides. Here he is. The bride shows up at the door, and the ground moves underfoot. Extended dark hair, olive-based skin, that elegant walk I would know anywhere. Megan. My friend from 3rd grade, best buddy. The woman who guided me in selecting my own wedding gown. Dearly beloved. As I watch them exchange vows, the priest's words vanish into white noise. Promising to love each other till death, my spouse and best buddy part. As he assured me. Like we all vowed to each other when we were young, buddies always, no secrets, no lies. I recall not leaving the chapel. The drive home is not clear from memory, but I recall the deciding moment. Sitting in our ideal, magazine-worthy kitchen, which Ryan insisted on redoing last year, I watched the sunset through windows that unexpectedly seemed like prison bars. There is buzz on my phone. Ryan. Running late for a conference, don't hold back. I grab his preferred scotch, the one he saves for special events. As I swallow, the liquid burns my throat and I relish the suffering. Unlike all else in my life, it is real. Still another text from the unidentified number. Now you know. Regarding that, what are your plans? What am I going to do? I laugh. It sounds strange to me. Sharp, hazardous, like smashing glass. Opening my laptop, I begin to type. Dear Laura, with any luck, this email reaches you. I had been considering organizing that family reunion you have always wanted. Because betrayal is exactly that. It's about the complex dance of falsehoods that preceded it, not only about the deed itself. The deftly created alibis. The grins that have been taught. The little touches that were meaningless. And Ryan, my lovely, beautiful Ryan, has always danced rather well. But thus have I as well. I sip another scotch and grin. Let their honeymoon take place. Let them believe they are winners. Time is on my side. And I possess something higher than their adoration. I possess their faith. The sun sets totally, darkening me. For the first time today though, I can see everything clearly. Each page of the old photo album seems weighty on my lap, memories I no longer trust weighing me. Ryan, Megan, and I at 16 are spread out on my parents' yard. Ryan's arm circles both of us as we chuckle at some old joke. Like everything else about that summer, the corners of the picture show where. Ryan from downstairs phones, I ordered Chinese. His footfalls each make my skin crawl in our residence. 3 days after his second wedding, he has been home behaving as though nothing had changed. That he did not simply destroy all we had created. As he walks into our bedroom with 2 plates of food I won't eat, I close the album. Remember when we used to get takeout with Megan every Friday? The words fly from my mouth before I could stop them, sharp as broken glass. Ryan's grin falls short of directly reaching his eyes. That was a lifetime ago. Was it? I get up and let the album thump to the floor with pleasant resonance. Because she looked exactly the same 3 days ago. Just for a moment, his chopstick stopped midway to his mouth. Blink would cause you to miss it. Still, I see it. I am catching everything right now. Eleanor. He sets down his plate and approaches me with the same worried look he used on challenging clients. Has your drinking been? I chuckle. It sounds like the laughter of my mother following Dad's departure. That is your move? Gaslight the wife into thinking she is crazy? His hand reaches for mine as he replies, "I'm worried about you." I pull back. "When did it start?" Burns my throat. "Was it before our wedding? During? Tell me, Ryan. Was I the backup plan or the cover story?" "You're not making any sense," he replies, but his left hand quickly sits. His tell when he lies. I have spent 7 years mastering his rhythms and compiling his routines. Funny how precisely you perceive things when you're searching for the holes. "I was at St. Mary's on Tuesday. Words like smoke hang between us. Nice tux, by the way. Better than the one you wore at our wedding." The mask slides, just for a moment, but it's plenty. His eyes turn cold and calculated. The Ryan I never let myself see is this one. "It is not what you think. Don't." My voice is not trembling. I take great satisfaction in that. "Don't offend me with excuses. I watched you marry my best friend while I was supposed to be your loving wife at home. What exactly should I think?" Another clue as he rubs his hands through his hair. "It's complicated, you don't grasp some of it." "Like what? The joint bank accounts you opened? The property you bought together? Alternatively, maybe the fact your mother knew the whole time? That renders him unable." "How could you?" I go to the drawer and pull out the stack of papers I have gathered over the past 3 days. "I am not the moron you believe me to be. You should really use better passwords than our anniversary date, though I guess that's meaningless now. Eleanor, please?" He grabs for the docs. "I control them. We can work this out, I will explain everything. Like you explained your business trip to Chicago?" I laid the papers, bank statements, property titles, emails, on the bed. "Or should we talk about the trust fund Laura established for your children with Megan?" His face turns white. "You had no right," said. "I had every right." Raw and primitive, the scream tears from my throat. "I am your wife. I was your friend. We grew up together. All 3 of us, and you." I pause, breathing hard. He is looking at me as though he has never seen me before. Perhaps he never did? Perhaps I never really seen myself either. "Get out." Right now, my voice is solid, definite. Likewise is true with my residence. Not now. One last document I retain is a power of attorney signed last year when he was too busy managing our estate plan. You ought to really read what you sign, Ryan. Now get out before I call Michael and have him escort you out. He bolts. Not out of fear, but rather because he understands this is a starting point. For that he knows me sufficiently. From the floor, I grab the photo album and use my finger to follow our younger faces. We seem to be naive and rather joyful. Such outstanding liars, every one of us. The cafe Megan and I used to keep secrets in seems smaller now. Perhaps that is the weight of what I am about to undertake. Alternatively, maybe everything from my past is diminishing and losing relevance with every fresh betrayal I come across. Still sporting the twin of her wedding band, Megan glides into the seat across from me. Seeing it tastes like acid in my coffee. She adds, her fingers tensely stroking the rim of her unethered latte. "I didn't think you would come. Funny. I didn't you'd marry my husband." The words come out softer than I intended, which somehow makes them cut deeper. She stumbles. "Eleanor." I slide the bank statements across the table like cards in a rigged game. "Did you know about the trust fund? The one Laura configured for next generations?" Her face loses hue, not from remorse but from wrath. "Quite interesting. What trust fund?" That is indeed surprising now. Her hands quivering slightly, I watch her go over the papers. $3 million, I say. Set aside for the grandchildren Laura always wanted. Guess I was not producing them fast enough. This can't be right. Megan pulls the contaminated-looking papers away. Ryan said the marriage was only a formality for his inheritance. He said. I chuckle and it sounds like shattered glass. That he loved you, Megan? That I was cold, distant, career-obsessed? That's exactly what he told his mother about me last month. She stares fiercely. How come you aware of that? Because I have spent the last week learning just how completely my husband, our husband, has been playing us both. The waiter walks over, but we both wave him away without looking up. There is more, I said, pulling out my phone. Want to hear Ryan talking about property investments with Laura? The ones using your family's real estate contacts? Megan's voice falters as my family's? Ryan knew well before he ever asked her out that her mother, Grace, runs one of the biggest real estate companies in Boston. Did you ever wonder why he chose us? Asks the question hanging between us like fog. The two best friends who'd never bet each other. The perfect cover story. Stop. Megan gets up fast and her chair scrapes the floor. I understand you trying to hurt me since I hurt you. I deserve it, but. Sit down. My voice never changes. The best portion hasn't yet been heard. She sits, more from shock at my voice than from compliance. Remember that summer internship Ryan helped you get at Grace's firm? The one that convinced your mother he was such a wonderful guy? I slipped one more document across the table. Look at the date on that property transfer. Her hands shake as she reads. This is the signature of my mother, but she would never sell her prime investment property for half its worth. She had no idea she did. Check the signatures of the witnesses. Megan recognizes her own handwriting and crumples her face. I was just notarizing documents. Ryan said it was practice for my license, while I was planning our wedding. You were unintentionally helping him steal from your own mother. The truth tastes terrible on my mouth. He played us both, Megan. The only difference was that I worked it out before he could take everything. For the first time since she sat down, she glances up at me, very definitely stares at me. What are you going to do? I get to stand and gather the paperwork. Invalid question. The actual one is, what are we going to do? We? I draw one last item, a USB disk with what I have found, and say, you have two choices. Keep playing his game and lose everything, or help me take him down. Your mother's company, my savings, Laura's reputation. He's built his entire plan on the presumption that we would never compare notes. Megan fixes her eyes on the drive as though it could bite. If this gets out, everything burns. I run my palm over hers and feel the matching wedding band. But we will be the ones holding the matches this time. She tightens her fingers over the disc, and I catch a flash of the buddy I used to know. Fierce, devoted, relentless when crossed. When should we begin? I smile and it feels true for the first time in weeks. Our already have. From the kitchen counter, 3 empty wine bottles mock me. Not my typical poison, but tonight is not usual. Ryan's workplace papers are scattered around our dining room table, our wedding present from Laura, like bits of a jigsaw I never wanted to solve. Another Ryan message on my phone brightens it. Please let us discuss this sensibly. Logical. Like the method he erected this palace of lies? Like the deliberate accuracy with which he decided on his marks? Once more buzzing is the phone. Megan, this one time. Grace is inquiring, we must get going more quickly. I turn it off, but my hands continue to shingle. The scope of what we intend at last strikes me. This goes beyond simply calling attention to Ryan now. We are discussing ruining families, names, life. The doorbell sounds. I wonder momentarily about ignoring it. Then, though, I hear the key in the lock. Ryan is the only person with that key except one other. Michael walks into the dining room and absorbs the anarchy. Jesus, Eli? When's the last time you slept? I faintly point at the papers. Did you know Ryan's father committed himself? Michael goes still. What? I pull out the newspaper clipping I discovered hidden in Laura's bank records 10 years ago, right after Ryan graduated law school. Officially, it was a hunting accident. Unofficially, I push forward a stack of bank records. He found Laura and Ryan had been embezzling years from his company. Christ. Michael settles onto a chair. Does everyone else know? Just the person who has been sending me anonymous tips. I tap the table burner phone. They sent me this today. I slipped over duplicates of William Mitchell's suicide note. He tried to expose them, Michael. He tried to stop them, and they... My voice failures. Michael reaches for my hand. Eli, but I back off. I'm becoming them. The words taste like ash. I'm turning into exactly what I hate from all these plans for revenge, for justice. No, you're not. Michael says with stern voice. You're shielding Megan's company, your future, Grace's. Am I? I get up, moving slowly. Or am I just so focused on destroying Ryan that I don't care who gets caught in the crossfire? Because right now, I'm seated here planning to expose everything at the family reunion, knowing it will devastate people who had nothing to do with this. Like someone? I grab one of the wine bottles, not caring that it's empty. Like Ryan's sister's kids, who'll lose their college money when I uncover Laura's financial machinations, Grace's staff might lose their jobs should the company's reputation suffer. Like William Mitchell, who died trying to do the right thing, while I plot complex revenge scenarios like some comic book villain. Michael pauses silently for a protracted length of time. He stands up, then grabs the bottle from my hand. You wish to know how you differ from them? I turn aside, but he keeps on. You're torturing yourself about the moral consequences of your actions here at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're sleeping peacefully, counting their money and planning their next con. That does not make it right. No, it doesn't. He begins systematically gathering and sorting the documents. But it means you have a choice. You can expose everything dramatically at the reunion, as you planned, or what? Or we do this the right way, legally. Carefully. William Mitchell's suicide note is here, he said. We finish what Ryan's father started, but we do it smart. We first guard the innocent parties. Another message from the unknown source comes from the burner phone buzzing. Inquire of Laura about the offshore accounts. I fix my eyes on the message, then on the anarchy all over my dining room table. 7 years of marriage, a lifetime of friendliness, generations of lies, all leading to this moment. I say at last, okay. Show me how I should do this right. Michael nods and gets out his phone. First, we should speak with a financial fraud expert. I know a man. I hold his arm and wait. Before we do this, I need know something. Are you helping me because I'm right or just because I'm your sister? He fixes my gaze consistently. Both and neither. I'm helping you since someone needs to stop them and you're strong enough to do it without becoming them. I examine the empty wine bottles, the strewn papers, the proof of my almost plunge into their realm of control and retribution. He may be right. Perhaps another method to burn it all down is here. Michael's friend, a lawyer, keeps chatting, but I fixed on the one single sheet of paper in front of me, a name list. Mainly children. Trustees of which our scheme would fall apart if we carried on. The offshore accounts are just the beginning, James Harrison continues, distributing more papers over his mahogany desk. Laura Mitchell's financial web runs at least 3 generations of both families. How many people would be affected? My voice sounds far even to myself. Directly, roughly 30, indirectly. He shrugs. We're talking about tearing down a decades-long program. The knock-on effects might affect hundreds. Michael forward leans. But we can prove the fraud readily. The issue is whether we should. James runs over the name list. Some of these trust funds are supporting education and medical treatment. I get up quickly and head to the window. Stop. Boston spreads out below, unconcerned about the bomb we are about to blow. Another way has to be found. There is buzz on my phone. Megan. Grace came upon the missing property records. Michael adds, reading across my shoulder. She's calling Laura today. We're running out of time. Anyhow, everything falls apart if Grace confronts Laura straight. I then go back to James. How long would it take to get protection for the innocent parties? Weeks, maybe months. We would want. The door of the office explodes open. Laura Mitchell is there, always flawless, but her eyes are crazy. I should have known you'd run to Michael, she says, sneers. James begins. How did you? My daughter works in your building, James. Did Eleanor tell you that part? How many families she's ready to destroy for her revenge? That's rich coming from you, Michael adds, standing and straying between us. Laura pays me more attention than him. You think you're protecting people? William thought the same thing. Look where that got him. The chamber falls quiet. Even the metropolitan noise appears to fade. What did you just say? My hands, knuckles white, clutch the rear of the chair. Oh, did your anonymous friend tell you everything? Laura asks with a stern smile. William tried to fix our plans, rerouting money to safeguard the beneficiaries, just as you are planning. He did not just discover them. And you stopped him. The bits fit together. The hunting accident was. She says just that, then pauses. An accident. Her eyes dart away. The point is, Eleanor, some buildings cannot be taken down without destroying everything they support. You're not just fighting Ryan or me, you're fighting generations of carefully balanced arrangements. I spit, arrangements built on lies and theft. Built on necessity, she says, getting closer. Did Ryan tell you why he married you? Your family's 3 generations of judges and prosecutors, 3 generations of perfect shield. Once more buzz comes from my phone. On the screen Grace's name shows. Take the call, Laura urges gently. Listen to Grace, discover what her daughter's been hiding, watch another family break, or. She pulls out an envelope. We might talk about substitutes. Michael says, Eli, don't. What alternatives? My voice is firm but my heart bangs against my ribs. Laura says, a clean break. A generous settlement. The innocent parties stay protected. Laura lays the envelope on James's desk. Everyone wins. Michael says, everyone except justice, quickly. Laura chuckle. Ask Eleanor what she actually wants, justice or peace. My phone keeps vibrating. These days, Megan's messages complement Grace's calls. From the desk, the name list stares up at me. Children, families, futures. How long do I have to decide? The words taste like surrender. Laura steps to the door. Until Grace finishes reading those papers. Choose deliberately, Eleanor. Unlike William, you still have options. She goes, and the office seems both bigger and more stifling. You cannot seriously be thinking about this, Michael says. I pick up the name list, then my still buzzing phone. What if her right is what if trying to correct this just makes everything worse? Not justice, but that's fear talking. Maybe. I glance at James. But what if terror is trying to convey something vital? One last time the phone buzzes, then goes quiet. It is too late to stop whatever Grace found now. I pick Laura's envelope and feel the weight of choices not yet taken. I need to talk to Megan, I say at last, before we decide anything else. Because sometimes, I continue, I'm learning revenge isn't about who you're willing to hurt but who you're willing to spare. Before me sits the Mitchell family estate, its windows shining like evening caution signals. All the actors gathered for what they believe to be a surprise anniversary party for Laura and her second husband. Cars fill the circular driveway. Michael says, standing next to me and clutching the bag full of all the evidence, every paper, every recording, last chance to back out. Megan appears at my other shoulder and says, "They're already inside," her voice taut. Grace is with them, Ryan is watching the door like a hawk. I change my black dress, funeral suitable, though they are not yet aware of it. Did you check the exits? James has people stationed at every door, Michael says, glancing at his watch. No one leaves until everything's disclosed once you start. Laura's envelope weighs against my ribs, nestled into my garment. Her offer of silence, of protection for the innocent, weighs against me. Still not opened. Still conceivable. We arrive in the kitchen, where caterers are busy without realizing they are presenting Mitchell Dynasty Last Supper. Ryan finds me right away. His face flickers between skepticism and relief. Eleanor. He comes near me carrying a champagne glass. I didn't suppose you would show up? And Miss Laura's party? My smile feels like broken glass. Would not dream of it. His gaze flies to Megan, to Michael, to the briefcase. I see the instant he discovers something is wrong, but Laura's voice breaks through the hushes of discussion. Everyone, kindly collect in the main hall. The audience moves, carrying with it us. I notice flashes of familiar faces. Grace, pale but understated. Laura's second husband, blind and radiant. Ryan's sister, gripping hands of her children. The young ones. God. The sons. Laura pulls out her glass. Thanks all for showing up to... Actually, I forward, my voice carrying across the unexpected silence. I'd like to say something first. Ryan comes toward me, but Michael blocks his way. Megan takes a seat close to Grace. Laura says, "Eleanor," her voice low, "give great thought to what you are doing." I open the still sealed envelope she handed me. I have thought about it. For weeks, I've thought about nothing else. I turn to face the room. About justice and protection. About who deserves the truth and who deserves mercies. Eli, Ryan's voice now clearly reflects actual terror. Whatever you think you know. I know everything. I open the briefcase but, not yet, I do not remove the papers. About William's death? About the trust funds? About your 2 marriages, Laura's schemes, Laura's lies to keep this house of cards standing. The space comes alive in whispers. Grace marches onward, her face ashen. "Megan," Grace replies with shaky voice. "I apologize. Mom." Megan's voice breaks. "I knew nothing, not until Eleanor showed me." Clutching her children tighter, Ryan's sister asks, "Showed you what? What are you doing?" I look at the kids. Their innocent futures waiting on my next words, their perplexed faces. The envelope from Laura sears on my flesh. "The truth," I say quietly, "is that I came here tonight to destroy everything. To expose decades of fraud and manipulation. To get justice for everyone who's been hurt by the Mitchell family's lies." I get the first paper, William's actual suicide note. Laura moves rather silently. But standing here, looking at all of you, I glance back at Ryan. I understand something worse than being misled. Something worse than being deceived. Michael says, "Eleanor," his voice tight. But I continue. "The very thing you're fighting against is becoming." I touch it to Laura's envelope. The paper catches fast and I drop it into the briefcase. I find a match in my handbag. "No." Michael jumps forward, but it's too late. Years of careful investigation burning to ash. With it burns my opportunity at justice, at revenge, at everything I thought I wanted. Since at times the best retribution is redemption rather than destruction. Laura sits across from me on the marble island, Both of us wet from the sprinklers, watching cops cart away boxes of evidence. The actual evidence, not the decoy files I burned, painted Laura's perfect kitchen in alternating red and blue. Copies, I answer softly. Everything in that briefcase? Merely copies. The originals arrived at the FBI 1 hour ago. Her immaculate nails pound against her coffee cup. You chose this moment on purpose. The party here. Family gathering. Like father, like daughter-in-law. I slide William's real suicide note across the desk. He planned to disclose everything at your anniversary party too, didn't he? Prior to the hunting mishap. The drumming stops. Michael is watching with grim enjoyment through the glass, Ryan being guided to a police car. Laura's voice quivering. You don't understand what you've done, she continues. Those trust funds were being protected. Pulling out my phone, I show her the court orders. Every innocent beneficiary has been lawfully detached from the false accounts. The kids will hang on to their college money. The treatment keeps on medical level. I sense actual dread in her eyes for the first time. How? Much as leaning closer, I add. I had 3 weeks after you presented me the envelope. 3 weeks where you felt you would win. Did you truly believe I was doing nothing for that period? Much we hear activity at the door. Grace walks in, followed by federal officers. Her eyes connect with Laura's. Grace states, simply, you killed William when he tried to protect my daughter from your schemes. Laura stands so fast that her chair falls over. That's absurd. Much as I interrupted, William was going to expose how you used Megan to access Grace's company records, then, how you manipulated Ryan into marrying us both to maintain your financial facade. Everything I accomplished served this family only, Laura tears. Megan answers, looking at the doorway, tear-stained but steady. No. Everything you did was for yourself. And today we all know the reason. Laura goes somewhat motionless as I slide one final document across the counter. An old picture. William wasn't merely aiming to reveal the hoax, was he? I inquire, seeing her expression crumple. He found something else. About the true father of Ryan. About why you so sorely needed the connections of the Carter family. Mom? Mom, what's happening? Ryan's voice calls from outside. Laura leaps for the picture, but Grace is faster. Her shriek resounds in the abruptly quiet kitchen. Looking at the picture, Grace adds, That's my father, staring at Laura. 37 years passed. I say, 9 months before Ryan was born. The truth hangs between us like smoke, decades of control, all to conceal one desperate affair, thereby preserving the Mitchell family's pristine image. You destroyed everything? Laura says quietly. No. I stand, compiling the last of the papers. You lost everything the moment you chose lies above love. William fought to save all of us and today at last he has. What precisely do you mean? Much one last time I grab my phone and show her the message chain. From an unidentified number, from a dead man, scheduled emails, planned to arrive years after his death. I meet her eyes. William knew he might not survive trying to expose the truth, so he left breadcrumbs for whoever was brave enough to follow them. I wasn't first victim, Laura. However, I am your last. Ryan is watching via the glass, finally seeing dawning on his face as Grace hands him the picture as the cops walk to escort her out. Was it worth it? Laura wonders as they lead her away. Burnishing everything to save a dead man's honor. Of Megan and Grace, now free from manipulation, of William, who passed away trying to protect us all, I consider the children above, their futures now safe. I add gently. Some things are worth burning for. Michael squeezes my shoulder as the sun rises over the Mitchell estate, casting everything in gold. Beside me, sirens fade. You okay? 30 years of lies collapsing in Laura's path, I see her go into a police cruiser. No, I say honestly. But I will be. Sometimes the truth simply tells you who you really are. Sometimes it doesn't set you free. Ryan's last box from his study remains unopened on my kitchen counter. Autumn leaves abound in my backyard, where 3 children previously swore to be friends forever through the window. Megan says, Grace wants to meet both of us. My phone buzzes. Laura and Ryan, both convicted, ended the trial yesterday. The headlines claim justice. The society pages labeled it scandal, neither fairly portrayed the facts. Expecting more evidence, more secrets, I raise the top from the box only to see an ancient video camera, the kind we used summer before college, when everything seemed possible. Megan stands there, appearing smaller somehow, more like the girl I used to know than the lady who helped sort everything. The doorbell rings. Holding out an identical camera, she adds, I found mine too, from Mom's attic. Both of us set them on the counter. These relics of who we used to be, neither of us reaches to switch on. Did you come across Ryan's comment? She inquires. No. I pour us both coffee. This is a habit from earlier, when friendship was straightforward. Did you? Much her giggle sounds brittle. He said he loved both. Actually believed it, I guess. Sliding her cup across the counter. That's Ryan, I remark. Living his own truth, even when it's a lie. Megan strokes one softly while the afternoon light catches the cameras, creating twin shadows. Before Grace arrives, she continues, we should observe them? Before we choose our course of action. She nods. We both know Grace's meeting is about the future of her business, about trust and second chances, about whether some bridges can be rebuilt after they have burnt. It is not only about reconciliation. Ryan behind the camera, narrating our last summer together, behind which we are young, laughing, whole. Ryan connects the first camera to my laptop. The screen flickers to life. Before college. Before decisions. Before we knew how love and lies might wear the same face. Megan says unexpectedly, stop. Then looks at that moment. The picture freezes on our younger selves, sharing some forgotten joke, but it's Ryan's reflection in the window that catches my eye. The way he watches us both, scheming, even then. I understand he simply showed us who we already were, not destroyed us. What do you imply? Megan queries. You always yearned for adventure, I was always yearning control. He only turned those facts into weapons. The second camera sits dark, uninterested. Certain facts, I'm discovering, don't need to be seen to be understood. Megan's coffee sits unethered, going cold. Now we choose, I say. Between easy and true, not between right and wrong. Grace grabs my hand before Megan moves to answer the doorbell once more. She says, I'm sorry. Not for loving him. For not remembering how to love you first. Remembering Laura's last remarks during the trial, love makes liars of us all. I squeeze back. Maybe, I say Megan, we quit trying to change the past. Perhaps we should start something fresh. She nods, knowing what I'm not saying. About Grace's company, about second chances, about how occasionally revenge isn't about destroying what was, but constructing what may be. Laura plans her appeals somewhere in a prison cell. In another, Ryan writes letters we will never read. Life moves forward, messy and imperfect. Grace opens the door and notes how she carries herself now, straighter, stronger, free from decades of manipulation. The autumn wind scatters more leaves over the yard. I leave the cameras on the counter unaltered. Certain memories are better lived than remembered. Some facts are not revisited necessary. Megan and I glance at one another, remembering other documents, other plans, other decisions as Grace piles papers across my kitchen table. Plans for rebuilding, for forward movement, prepare? Grace questions. Of Laura, creating barriers to hide truths never worth preserving, of William, planting truth bombs to detonate years after his death, of Ryan, loving so fiercely he forgot how to love honestly. Indeed, I say, and I mean it. Sometimes the best kind of retribution is one in which one gains freedom rather than exacting revenge. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.